Hi, Derpymoose99 here with episode 19 of Banished with megamod 9. So it's going to be a little bit different episode this time. I've decided to set up a few farming areas with a slightly different philosophy. So what I mean by that is over in the northeast corner here, up above everything here, I've put in another central market, bunch of houses, and I'm going to go 15 by 15 on the crop fields and orchards, and I'm going to put 3 people in them. And I'm going to want to see if that makes a difference. I've also gone around the map and we're quite a bit short on housing, so I've plopped a bunch of houses in various places. I've added a few more of the tiny barns. Down here in below our original town site, in our new city center or whatever you want to call it, I'm going the same thing here. I've got, well, a couple had to be crimped in, but there's 15 by 15s down here as well. And a bunch of houses. Also going to have to move the hospital over here. The other thing I researched was for our homeware supplier, I've decided to go with furniture and rugs. So we're already producing furniture here. I'll add another joiner. And the rugs are basically produced by a weaver, and one of the options is wool. So down over here I put in a weaver to be built, and we can pull from the wool pens here. Also, I've been thinking on our greenhouse production, which is not great. I think it's because we don't have houses, or enough houses, especially since we build all these tinware and all the mines and stuff like that. So before I turn on any of the bakeries here and the windmills, I'm going to build another central market here and a bunch of houses. Okay, I'll do a quick review of where we're at. So we're 2572 citizens, year 57. Logs are looking a bit low, so we're building another industry trade port here. Which will be interesting to see if it works, if that location is bugged or it was just whatever the situation was before. Everything else looks pretty good. We've got stones actually even coming up, although it'll come down now that I've built all those houses. Tools are looking really good. Coats are well over 1100. In fact, what's our limit there? 2500. So we've never reached the 2500 coat limit, but that's okay. We've got adequate to trade here. And what was the other thing? Oh, I looked at our rice. So when our town site is ready down here in our houses, we do have enough rice. We have around 6,000 rice to build or to make more flour, and think about maybe expanding the bakeries and stuff like that. As far as our lake over here, we'll do some expansion, more rice production. Our granaries come up for storage. We've started production of survival coats actually while I'm here. That's already in. Let's put some more workshops in. Okay. Got the buzzer. Okay, so we'll put some more workshops in there for survival coats. We may have to expand another row of reeds. I'll just see how that goes for now. Okay, so I've laid in a bunch of stuff to be built, as usual. So this is a new record. So we have 200 builders, and we require 1,181 builders. So that is beating my previous record of 750 something. So when I say this will be a different episode, I just want to show you what I want to do, what I've set up to do. And then I'm going to pause it, let it rip. If anything different or fun happens, I'll come back. But I want to see a bunch of this stuff built and see where we get to. Here's another spot actually where we could throw. Yeah, let's just do that before we pause. So what I'm thinking here is let's take something like, what's a general store look like? Put a general store in, and let's put some houses in. Okay, and where's the closest school? Not super close. Okay, so maybe let's put mini school. Our tiny school. They take 14 students, so it's actually not bad to plunk down. Okay, so we'll do all that. Now we're at 1,234 builders required, which is awesome. So we'll go, I'll just save in case anything dumb happens. And let's go on pause, and I'll be back when something good happens. Or bad. Well, I think we've come to the end here. So I've let it run for quite a while. We were probably about 2 years of game time. We're in year 59 now. We just hit 3,001 citizens. I'm just gonna let it run here. We are running at let's try 1 speed here. So everything's moving pretty slowly. My frame rates are not bad. It's just the CPUs, I guess, reached the end of the line. So let's just have a tour around here and talk about lessons learned. So one of the things I wanted to do here is just to try these bigger fields, like 15 by 15s with 3 workers, but haven't really built enough housing infrastructure. It's building so slowly, even with 350 builders. Just the CPU's having trouble keeping up, I guess, with the demands of all these citizens. So there's a couple things I could do, and I think I'm leaning towards one for sure, is I could play this and just do videos via updates, but it's pretty super painful at 3,000 people with the pace here. So it is a much bigger town than I was able to build with my old CPU, so I'm pleased with that. I'm using a 5800 X3D now, which is probably, for the AM4 platform anyways, the best single-threaded CPU. So I did make some gains there, but this isn't really playable, unless you set a build queue and then go take the dog for a walk or something like that. So some things have built, some haven't. One very, at least to me, interesting thing was I started to run low on logs, so I built a industry trade port. So I remember the ones that didn't work were industry suppliers. So I built an industry trade port down here, and it's been there for 2 years, and nobody's come to visit it. So I think this part of the map here is bugged. Now, I put the original industry suppliers in with using, the good old flatten power tool here, just to jam it in there. So there's a chance that, there was some kind of bug associated with that, but there's also the chain of events where I installed an older version of megamod, then upgraded it to a newer version, and then found the latest version and upgraded it. So maybe that very original version had some flaws or bugs in it or whatever. So interesting to me, though, that it's the spot and not the type of building that was the problem. Just to sort of prove that, I went up here and added another industry port where we had the other 2. And this one is working, people are visiting it, and it's functional. So it was the location on the map, not the type of port. I thought that was interesting. We did eventually build our town square down here to support our greenhouses, and started a little bit of bread production here. I should have probably started that earlier. Stuff is building over here, but painfully slow. And let's see. Oh, the other place I think was down here. So this is below our central town. I was going to start another larger farm experience down here. But again, there hasn't been enough houses built to make this workable. And over in the dock area, a lot of the stuff hasn't built yet. There was some more rice planters. We were building more workshops for survival coats. So I think, so let's talk about lessons learned. So first of all, it was total idiocy, or wasn't very smart anyways on my part, to put that nomad well in and keep using it. So I think maybe on a Jack and Jill start to put a 50% nomad well in to maybe get a bump of people and then quickly disable it. But to go out of control and just accept all the nomads, just, no matter what your food situation, just isn't workable. So if I do this again, I'm going to do it in a more controlled fashion. But the other thing that was really, or towards the end, is really bothering me is, the harvesting situation on these farms. So, I mean, it's pretty much generally agreed that 11 by 11 is good as far as one farmer, one worker, as far as efficiency and being able to do the job. So I obviously have a problem with my sort of overall layout here, this strategy of these central markets with a bunch of houses and sort of a main pathway down here. Let me get rid of that. Main pathway down here with some buildings and barns and stuff like that. If you look, and it could be, there's a lot of long pathing issues even still. Kind of some weird ones too, so that, why wouldn't these be farmers? But I guess there's so many, pull up a small one here, so many builders and laborers that they're probably dominant in the houses. So there's no farmers in any of these houses, so that's an issue. So I'm going to have a rest, I think, from Banished for a while, and then I'm going to start another town, and I'm going to try and do a completely different design strategy. One where I pay a lot of attention to houses near farms, markets near those houses. Maybe instead of these large central nodes, I'll go to a bunch of smaller distributed nodes. I'm also going to try bigger fields with more farmers. I was playing around here with 15 by 15, but I might even do a little bit of a practice game to try different things out. But I definitely want to try different things. Megamod has so many options. So in this series, we tried the greenhouses and got back into some tinneries, which I haven't done for a while. But I think next run I want to try like different things. So we'll try some salted food. We'll try maybe different fuel sources, maybe like bamboo or a few other things like that. We didn't do any silk or any what's drawing a blank here, any other, like we didn't do cotton, and we didn't do silk, and we didn't do anything with cured leather. We have a lot of leather, so we could have done that. The other thing is, I would probably do these wharfs and ships a little earlier in the game. Or the other strategy we could try next time is just trade for iron instead of using it, or do it in the mines. But I'm a little iffy on that because most of our trade goods have been going towards logs and stone here. The other thing I did notice too in our, if we look at our final numbers here, and thanks Grace for this, our flowers were sinking, so eventually we were going to run out of flowers. We started with 15,000. It's been going down pretty slowly over time. But we probably don't need to build florists because with the amount we had by the time the game turns into a slideshow, by the time you hit 3,000 here, you still have stock. So something to think about there. This fodder here, down to 9,000, but still a lot. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, perfume, we were always just keeping up with it for the trading. But I still think perfume is a really good trading strategy. So if we look what we have in here, firewood, wool coats, dress coat, perfume, furniture, linen clothing, and survival coats. I think the coat strategy is pretty good. Furniture to me, as long as you got the log supply, that's pretty good. But there's definitely some different things I'd like to try. And for me, the jury's still out on these greenhouses. Like, these ones have 2 people producing tomatoes. And somewhere around 500 food for 2 people isn't, in my mind, awesome. So if we look at one of the... So an 11 by 11 with 1 person is producing 800. So the only thing you're really saving, I think, with the greenhouses is physical space, which there's something to be said about that. It was also using up the fodder too. Interestingly enough, 2 stables were enough to create fertilizer for all these greenhouses. The other pain here was the water. Every time food got low, everybody would eat the water, and there'd be nothing for the greenhouses or the perfume makers. I was going to try another type of water well I found, but they haven't built yet. The canning here is another question to me. It multiplies your food, but it uses a lot of tin production. A lot of people for tin production. So could those people be employed, and better employed on farms or something like that? Let's see how much tin we had. 935. Excuse me. So we were probably overproducing tin slightly, but I did intend to expand those canneries, so the jury is out on that one. I think I might do a little bit of that, but maybe not as much as what I tried there. The other thing is I way overbuilt on the blacksmiths, which was okay. I got us out of a death spiral and a tool jam, but what I maybe should have done is, our iron production was good. I should have converted some of these to some kind of trade goods. So maybe, muskets or something like that. I played around with that a little bit on what's a trade good. The other thing I'd like to try is some of these other tool types. I didn't do any carbon steel, didn't do any gemstone. Be interesting to investigate how that all works out. So, I think really my lessons learned are about the farming and the food here. And I don't know if I know the answer to how to fix this, but I do know I want to try something different next time. If anybody does watch this, and you have ideas on what I could try differently or do differently on the food production, I'd sure like to hear it. Okay, so we got to 3,000, which, I don't know, I think that's kind of cool. As you can see, though, it's moving pretty slow. Let's look at our final graphs here. So our food was, kind of trending down again. We had all those farms that hadn't built yet, and those new production areas and all those houses. I think if we didn't run out of CPU, we probably could have got through that. And what else do we have here? Let's just run through all these. So citizens, that's kind of a blur. Population's a steady rise. Tools was pretty solid. Firewood, yeah, that was okay. We were keeping up with it. Health was, we're at 4.5. I consider 4.5 pretty good. And what else do we have in here? Our miscellaneous. Okay, so anyways, I think this is going to draw this series to an end. So if you are watching, I sure appreciate it. And if you have any thoughts, comments, lessons learned, that would be great. This has been episode 19 and the final episode for Banished with megamod 9. And I am Derpy Moose 99. Thank you.